Hey everyone, welcome to Dr. Frank's Finance World. I am Dr. Frank the Bank because I try to teach you something about finance that you can make money on in the future. This is part one of net present value. It's video three. We're just going to go over a couple problems. Keep in mind the reason why there is a net present value part two is while I give you these numbers in part one, we're going to calculate them in part two. And that's what makes it a little more interesting. So, going to use the financial calculator on this one for sure. So I'm going to do project X first. First things first, I'm just sitting down here and I go into the cash flow mode and I want to make sure I clear my cash flow so there's nothing in there. So I'm going to drop the zeros on this. So the 100,000 would be 100 negative and I would enter it. Cash flow at time one is 50,000. So I put 50,000 in and enter it. That occurs once. Time two is 40,000, so I put 40,000, 40, enter, and that occurs once. Cash flow three is 30,000, enter that, and that occurs once. And finally, cash flow four is 10,000, and that occurs once. So, all right, so I want to find the internal rate of return of this project out here. So we're trying to find, so I hit the IRR button, and I hit compute, and I get that project A earns 14.48%. Not too hard. I did round up 14.49 probably, but at any rate, it earns about 14.5%. So let's check out project Z, the second one. So we go back to, I'm just going to clear this out while I'm in here. I'm going to go to cash flow once again and clear it out. And we'll look at project Z. So the initial cash flow is 100,000 negative for part one of the project, or for year zero of the project. Cash flow one is 10,000. Occurs once. Cash flow two is 30,000. That also occurs once. Cash flow three is 40,000. And it occurs once. Let's see here. Let's up. I put the wrong frequency, it's 1, so you got to be careful there. So I still have 30,000 and a frequency of 1. Cash flow 3 is 40,000, so it's really easy even for me to put it in the wrong spot, be careful there. And then finally, cash flow 4 is 60,000, and it occurs once. So I want to find the internal rate of return in this one as well. So I hit the IRR button and I hit compute, and I did something wrong. Let's go check it out. Minus 100. And then, there it is. Cash flow one was supposed to be 10,000, not 1. See, I knew there was a problem, but I'm glad that we can fix it. You can go back and check the others, and you know they're good now. When I hit the internal rate of return, I actually came with the number I calculated, which was 11.79. So between these two projects, the superior project is actually project X. But would we do it? No. According to the decision rules, our money costs us 15%. And 14.48 is actually the best of the two. So neither one of them has a positive net present value. Just to prove that to you, if we go into the NPV and add the 15% cost of money for the second one, you'll see, and you compute it, you can see it has a negative net present value. Let me show you one other thing that's interesting about this too. So after we took away the $100,000, we were still 8,000 in the hole. If we go back to the original cash flow and we just put a 0 in here and look at it and then come down and compile it and compute the net present value, you'll see now it's the difference between that 100,000 and what we found on the first one. In other words, all the calculator literally does is bring these back through time and compares it to the whatever you put in. If you had nothing in there, you would see that the net present value of these cash flows is about 92,000, but it costs you 100,000 to do the project, so therefore you are going to lose money if you do it. Let's do another problem. Let's clear this out here. I like to start with a clean calculator. We'll do the same thing here. So, all right, let's work project A and project B. I'm going to get through project A and then do project B. So once again, I'm just going to go with the zeros. So project A has a minus 50,000 in the first part of the project. C01 there is 10,000. Cash flow 2 is 15,000. It occurs once. Cash flow 3 is 40,000. It occurs once. And cash flow 4 is 20,000. And it occurs once. So now that we have our cash flows in, to find the net present value, we have to put in our cost of money. So we hit the NPV key, and what is our cost of capital? Our cost of money is 10%. And when we come down and compute the net present value, we get 15,200. So this project would actually earn us money. We know that it has a better internal rate of return than what this one was actually able to calculate for us. So, or than the 10% cost us. So we can hit the IRR and know that's going to be above 10%. And when we compute it, indeed, it's double the 10%. So it makes us 21.38%. I'm going to come do the payback in a second. I'm going to show you how those look like side by side, but I need the room over here. So we're going to do the second part of the problem, which is project B next. And let's go into cash flow in a second, Claire. Okay, for project B, 30,000 negative is the first cash flow. I'm sorry, CF0 of the series. CF0, C01, the first one is $6,000, and that occurs once. The next one is $12,000. Wait. 1. Oh, man. All right, let's start over. 6,000, cash flow 1. I don't know why I was skipping through that. Maybe I was skipping through it. Anyway, 6,000, enter, that occurs once. The next one is 12,000, enter, and that occurs once. The next cash flow is 18,000. We enter that, and that occurs once. And finally, 12,000 is the fourth and final cash flow, and that occurs once. Dang it. Let's go back here. 18, and it's supposed to occur once. Yeah, it does. All right, let's re-enter that as 1 and then enter. I think I'm writing on top of those. Kind of tired this morning. Anyway, 12,000 is the last cash flow. Enter. I'll check them all here for you in a second. So if we go back and look at our cash flows, C01 was, or CF0 should have been a minus 30. C01 is 6,000 and it occurs once. C02 is 12,000 and it occurs once. C03 is 18,000 and it occurs once. And finally, C04 is 12,000 and it occurs once. So just like with project A, to hit the net present value, this one still has, like the other, a 10% cost of money. And when you come down and compute it, you get $7,000, almost $7,100, a little under $7,100. This project will make you, but you invest a lot less. So anyway, if I hit the internal rate of return on it, I know it's going to be something greater than 10. So when I compute that, I get the 19.27. Now, among these two projects, A is the superior project. So if they were mutually exclusive, you would only choose A. If they were independent and you had the money, you would actually do both. But it's a mutually exclusive, so A is the superior project. So let's do one more calculation here. Let's talk about payback. So I'm going to do A first, and you start with, let me just write up here. So let me start writing and A. For project A, and then put B over here. You start by being out $50,000. So, and you have minus 50 that you're having to make up here, and you have minus 30 that you're having to make up here. The year one cash flow for A is 10. So we got 10,000 of our money back, but we still owe 40. And year two cash flow for that is 15. And so we take away the 15 from it, and we still owe $25,000. The third year cash flow, year three, is actually 40,000. So we know we're going to have more than enough money to pay ourselves back. So it is a ratio between the 25 and 40. And you end up with the 2 years that you had to go, and the ratio of 25 divided by 40 is 0.625. So it takes you 2.625 years to pay yourself back on project A. Project B started a little slower. In year one, it had $6,000, so you were still 24,000 behind. Year two, you got 12,000 of it back, but you're still 12,000 behind. And year three, you got 18,000, which is going to be more than enough. And it's a ratio between the 12 and 18 because you paid yourself back the 12,000 and then some. And when you take 12 and divide by 16, you actually get 0.67. So Project B took the first 2 years plus the ratio of when you fully paid yourself back, 2.67 years. And ultimately, A was a better project all the way around. So as a mutually exclusive, you would choose Project A. All right, that's how you do the basic net present value problems. Net present value part 2 is next, where we teach you how to actually create these cash flows at time period 0, and then finally the terminal cash flow at the end. Appreciate your time. Have a nice day. Catch you later. Bye-bye.